Hi, this is Robert Wilkins, aka Basketball Tall. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm on a live chat, and for some of you, you'll probably see this on the replay. And feel free to also chat there as well. Leave your comments, because I'd like to know what you are saying. Because right now we're in such a hot climate, and we're on the eve of the election of our new president, the eve of a day that will go down in history. Are you prepared? How are you feeling? What do you think about this whole process? Let me hear your thoughts. But please be respectful and cordial according to YouTube's policies because, you know, hey, we're all trying to be good people and we want to do good things. But I would like to hear from you. Boy, you talking about such a hot climate in today's time. But for those of you that have no idea who I am, let me introduce myself. I'm a former college basketball player. I'm a former police officer. I'm a former district court juvenile officer, as well as a juvenile justice specialist for 25 years. And of those 25 years as a juvenile justice specialist, I was a supervisor of 5 counties. That's right. I supervised 5 counties all at the same time in the state of Oklahoma, which many will say this is a deep red state, but I don't care what you call it because I have friends all across the spectrum, no matter your race, no matter your party affiliation. And if you know me, any of you that know me, you know who I am. I'm friendly to everybody and I'm going to treat everyone respectful and cordial because when you're in the criminal justice field, you see some things, you hear things. You're in the world of politics because you're around district judges who's voted into office on a state level. You're around sheriffs, you're around state representatives and senators because when you're a cop, everybody knows who you are. Just like when the police come around, when you see the police, what do? You pay attention to the police, don't you? So you can imagine I'm 6 feet 6 inches in height. So when I went places in an area that there were no people like me, yes, I got a lot of attention. But this is a new day upon us, the eve of something I would say great. Why? Because this country is great. To my knowledge, since the late 1960s of the civil rights era and the 1970s, the great migration where we all started going to schools with one another, we became the best America's ever been in my eyes. What about your eyes? When you hear those slogans, make America great again, when was it not great for you or maybe your relatives, people like you? Does that dictate something different to different people? What about a guy like me? How do I view it? Well, I can tell you this. I remember as a kid. Now, of course, I just tell you how old I am. I'm 66. And of course, I've had a stellar career and I've interacted with everybody because when you're in law enforcement, you deal with everybody. And the thing is, growing up as a little child in the 1960s, I've seen some things. Then, of course, you guys may recall when Bobby Kennedy got assassinated in 1968, as well as Martin Luther King, where then the country took on a new direction, thanks to President Johnson in signing that, I forgot what act that was, so don't hold me to it. But for those of you that remembered, please put it in the chat, which gave us the right to vote, the freedoms that we all now as Americans have. So when we think of that term, make America great again, or take, what was that other saying? Take America back. And when I see something like that, I'm like, back from who? Now, I want you to really think about this. Just think about it. When was America really great for you? Now, when we say something like that, really, to be honest with you, it come across racial lines, doesn't it? It really does. Because how one group of people may see greatness compared to another, it's a different ball game. But It has. We're in a time of division like we've never seen before in this country, since post Civil War. And what can we do about it? What caused it? How can we heal it? We are so deep dug in our trenches, there's no way out. Now, I know a lot of folks that may watch this right now. You played sports at some point, or you knew family members or your kids may have participated in sports. There's always going to be a winner and a loser, isn't it? And when we lose, do we blame it all on the refs for cheating? Or do we just suck it up and congratulate the other team and basically say, we'll get you next time? Sports possess healing powers. And I think it's a lesson that we all can learn from sports, because sports was part of the thing that made this country get great, baby. Think about sports. And now we're on the eve of electing a new president or maybe a former president. But however it turns out, folks, we must respect the process, because you know what makes us all Americans? Think about this: our city, state, and federal laws. That's what we're governed by, our Constitution. That's what truly makes America great. Because when I'm in law enforcement, I had to abide by that. I had to abide by every city, state, and federal law. And guess what? And when I got a detention order or a warrant to arrest someone or detain somebody, I didn't care who you were. I didn't care what race or what color you were. I didn't care what religion you were in or political affiliation you were involved in. Because when I got that order from the court, that's power to detain. And often I did that. So I knew and know the pulse of the community. Guys across this country, law enforcement officers, we must enforce the law, because that's what makes America truly great. And we have everything we need on the books to protect people. It just need to be enforced. Enforce our laws. That's what really makes us great, when they're enforced equally. Now, since I am a sports channel, Basketball Tall, and that's where I get all my views mainly through sports. Let me give you a little bit of update, and then we'll jump back on this political thing in just a moment. For those of you that are curious, who's number one by the AP poll right now? We're still looking at Oregon is ranked number one. Dylan Gabriel, boy, we sure missed you from the University of Oklahoma, which you went through that portal transfer and now making all kind of big money for your like and image up in the University of Oregon. And some of these guys are making more money than they make if they were in NFL. And when Gabriel was at the University of Oklahoma, we thought he was going to enter the NFL draft, but no, he transferred through that portal and now the University of Oregon. And right now they're ranked 6-0, and he may end up becoming a Heisman. I'm sure he's a Heisman candidate. Number 2, Georgia is 7-1 right now. Number 3, Ohio State, University of Miami and Florida, number 4, University of Texas, 5, Penn State, 6, Tennessee, number 7, Indiana, 8, BYU, Brigham Young is ranked number 9 in the Big 12. Rick Jordan, that's someone who I know. He's a Brigham Young alumni. But anyhow, and of course, Notre Dame ranked number 10. And for those of you that are Roll Tide, Alabama is ranked number 11. But getting back to this eve of a great day, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of parties going on tomorrow and celebrating. And well, of course, it will be parties going on, especially those candidates and all those people that have worked hard for them to try to get them where they feel we need to be. But I've been listening and hearing a lot of people seem to be jumping ship. And I'm not talking bad about anybody. I want you to know that, because my life has been to protect you, to protect the public. But the thing is, I was looking at this, and we had all these people that once was in the cabinet and, of course, supported our former president. But now, and you guys heard this, and now we got General John Kelly. He came out recently about our former president, and he was a general in the Marines. We had Mark Kelly, who was a general of the Army, and of course, you guys may have heard about him. We've also have James Mattis, General of the Marine Corps, H.R. McMaster's, Lieutenant General of the Army, Mark Esper, Lieutenant Colonel of the Army, Stanley McChrystal, a General of the Army, Mike Mullins, Admiral of the Navy, and there's many, many more that have jumped ship. And not just that, making some incendiary comments about our former president that they think that he's not fit to lead. Now, hey, I'm in a red state, and I can tell you this right here. I know family members that are divided. I mean, to the point of civil war, baby. Seriously. I've seen it. I've heard it. All in support of an individual. And so many people in his cabinet, I think like right now, about 200 or more that are denouncing him. It's my country too. What do I think? What do you think? My career has been about law and order. Every city, state, and federal law to enforce it to its fullest. And that's where I stand, right and wrong. Right is right, wrong is wrong. And also, I believe in God. Yes, I'm a Christian, but then again, I see other Christians supporting wrong. Then one may say, well, killing babies is wrong too. But then again, every time a law is passed, some new element always come out of it that can be harmful and destructive, like the life of a mother. And I think something's wrong with that. A mother shouldn't die before the fetus. We put so much emphasis on the unborn that we're killing the living. Something's wrong with that. What are your thoughts about that? How do we heal this division among us? Listen to this. Here's an article here, a statement that's from one of our founding fathers. And it says here, government is instituted for the common good, for the protection, safety, prosperity, and happiness of the people, and not for the profit, honor, or private interests of any one man, family, or class of men. And that's from one of our forefathers of the Constitution, John Adams. When was America great for you, ever great for you? And when I watch and listen to things like getting rid of the Affordable Care Acts, aka Obamacare, think about all the people that may be supporting an individual that's going against their own interests, really, that have pre-existing conditions. And as we get older, we have pre-existing conditions. You may be diabetic. One may even consider, you got high blood pressure, and your insurance can decline payment. Think about that. Millions, tens of millions of people are going against their own interests to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. That doesn't make sense to me. So what's really motivating them? I've had people tell me, hey, it's black and white. They stick with their side. We're going to stick with our side. No, American is bigger than that. We're a melting pot now. Have you noticed? In 2018, it was about 14% of this country are biracial, had biracial kids. That's a lot of people, 14%. We're all entwined now. We're all married, live together, great friendships. And so right is right, wrong is wrong. We must really pay attention to what the word of God tells us. God don't like us supporting wrong. I know one, I've heard this, yeah, but killing babies, that's wrong. We got to but hey, what about the mother dying? What about God not liking liars? God don't like sinners. Sin is sin. We can't elevate one over the other. Sin is sin. God don't like sin. God don't want his people to support sin neither. But we're doing it. So what's the big factors that's making this the way it is in today's time? Neighbors bickering, arguing, not supporting one another. And before all of this, we were all getting along very well. We were socializing together, eating together, even living and marrying each other. But you do have your extremists out there, and they're ready for civil war. Let's not kid ourselves, guys. Let's not kid ourselves. There are people truly wanting to wage civil war. Now, I would say they are a minority, but they do exist. I have some experiences that you would find hard to believe. Even in my professional career, not just that, from my life growing up in the state of Louisiana, having to, during the integration period, going to a school in a white community and facing terror. It was like nothing you've ever seen. I'm in the seventh grade. Then go to a high school in another white community and having a major race riot. And people rose up and said they weren't taking it anymore. Keep in mind, everybody's got guns now and everybody's trained. So it doesn't matter who you are. One may think, well, we have more guns than the others. It only take one bullet. Think about that. That would be the worst civil war ever known to man on this planet. Because there is no other country like the United States that's got weapons the way we do. And we're all fully armed. Me too. No one's going to go down easy without a fight. But hey, we have laws that keeps us in order. And it's about obeying those laws, enforcing those laws, because it's all about keeping the peace. I want to be happy. You want to be happy. You want your children to be happy and also prosperous. We all want that. It doesn't matter who you are, because God created us all. He created us in his image. And how do you know that you are a child of God? By the love that we show for one another. Are you showing love for your neighbor? Or are you just only loving your own kind? No one else matters. And that can come across economic as far as money. No one knows what those that have fewer dollars compared to those that have a lot of money. The guys that's got a lot of money, they don't understand your flight. They don't understand that. But let's open our eyes, guys. It's something we don't like that we know, and there's something that we don't like. I don't like on both parties. Let's face it. But the thing about one person is saying she'll bring the other one to the table. Some of you don't like for as women governing. But let's face it, in our social services areas, child protective services, and state and federal governments, there are all sorts of women supervisors. They can govern because there are policies in place that governs things. And if we violate those policies and procedures or the law, there are ways to get rid of that individual, isn't it? But we got to come back, guys. To me, the greatest time in America, the greatest for a guy like me, was in the 1990s and in the mid 2000s. It was the best. There's never been a time as good as that for a guy like me. And now all of a sudden, there's a wedge implemented, drawn right between us all. And we all feel it. Every last one of us feel it. But how do we get back on track? It comes down to right is right, wrong is wrong. It's about obeying the word of our God, your God. It comes back down to Let's be cordial and peaceful to one another. That we don't need violence. We went through that. We went through that. We don't need that anymore. It's over. It's done with. We are the way we are because America became something that it never was. And we can make it better. But we're not going back to an era that was very destructive and harmful to other people in this land. You can forget about it. It's over. It's done with. It's not going back. I can tell you that now. But there are things that we know that's not good, and that other person is willing to bring the opposition party to the table. That's how you can get things done. I've never heard that before. Bringing the others, getting others from the other party to join your administration, where their voice can be heard, and that's how change come about. Because I got to tell you this, I know that one party is talking about the transgender stuff, and the other party don't believe it. I can tell you this, being in the juvenile criminal justice field for 25 years, yeah, it exists. Now, what an adult does, that's their business. But when it comes down to children, there are laws that protect children. And for children to go through a particular process like this, and yes, they've gone through processes like this. You can ask Chloe Cole. Look her up. Chloe Cole. She was a child when she went through that process, had both her breasts cut off. And then when she became 18, a young adult, had tremendous regrets because we don't allow kids to do certain things because they're children. Because mental health would tell us that the frontal lobe of the mind doesn't mature to about the age of 25. And then you having young kids, 12, 13, 14 years old, taking hormones, and going through these transformations. That's inhumane. Because how many times children changes their mind? Often, don't they? I know this from experience because I've dealt with some of this. See, a lot of you jump on these bandwagons and shout to the rooftop, and you have no idea what you're shouting about because you don't have any experience. You've never been punched in the mouth. You've never experienced the pain of seeing your child go through some things that you know that's not right. So that's my beef. Yeah, I don't like that because I've always been a protector of children. And there are laws that governs that. But when you got a person that's willing to bring the opposition into their into their cabinet and hear these concerns, that's what we bring. That's what brings about a good change. Because if the other one is never heard, we're just bickering and fussing among ourselves and spewing that out to the public. And then we all go into uproar and we're repeating what that individual says, whether there's any truth or facts to it at all. We just repeat it because we all hear it all the time. People repeat what they hear because we want to believe our leaders, don't we? But our leaders can be wrong because guess what? They are sinners too. We all are. But we do strive to do what is right. We strive for justice. We strive for peace. We strive for those to protect us. And that's what I did, a protector of the public. Robert Wilkins, aka Basketball Tall. Please let me hear what you have to say. Leave a comment in the chat section. And also give me a thumbs up because that helps the algorithm and shares it with other people. But tomorrow is a new day. November 5th is here. This is the eve of it. And we don't know how it's going to turn out, but here's the solution. Let's remember sports. Let's remember baseball, football, basketball, gymnastics. Let's remember track and field. Let's remember all those games that we played as kids in high school and in college, and some in the big leagues. When we lose a game, hey, we high five or we shake hands. We congratulate the losing opponent. That's the way it's done, people. We've always done that here in the United States. That's what makes us great. And that's what's going to heal us. And that's what we must do. Take a page out of sports. And remember, if it's not right, it's wrong. And God do not like wrong. God do not like sinners, nor does God like us following and supporting sin. Rubber Wilkins, aka Basketball Tall. See you next time.